This isn't gonna work. It's not gonna work. I'm not gonna twist my neck. Way better doing it in my mom's bedroom. So comfortable, you know. Way better. I wanted to just do it lying down. Like I did in my mom's bedroom. Gotta go get the sheet. Just as an aside, I've been back to walking in bare feet and not caring. Oh, shit. So just gonna disturb him. How it will look is anyone's guess, but at least I can relax while talking. Unless my mom gets up, which she has no reason to because she has nothing to do with me. She's not allowed to eat a blanket. Not even a mess. Well, I don't know what this will look like, but at least I'll be comfortable. I watched 2 of the saddest stories last night on the news programs, World News Tonight, Inside Edition. From World News Tonight, I watched it because I already told you. When it comes to cops and, you know, black people, African American people, whatever, I take it on a case-to-case basis. What that means is there are times I'm outraged and times I think that the cop is in the right. In this particular instance, I'm going to talk about revolving around a 14-year-old, a fucking kid. I'm going to dissect the situation for you and tell you exactly why it's so fucking just ridiculous, okay? And the cop hasn't been charged, which means he's still out, you know, on the streets. Just as an aside, I know that people always protest when someone dies, but they shouldn't just protest when someone dies. They should protest when the situation is so fucking ridiculous. Okay, we'll set that aside. I'm going to talk about the really sad stories I heard. Okay. If this one is true, you know, and nowadays I told my mom, you just don't know. You don't know if it's true. You just never know because people make crap up and you just never know. But if it's true, so fucking sad. This guy, his father, was driving with his 4-year-old stepdaughter and I guess 2.5-year-old son. And he got a flat tire. He stopped to change a flat tire. Well, just as another aside, I'm intentionally not using race, but I know what the news program said, okay? I also know what I said to my mom that I will keep to myself until we hear the details. Although I have a bad, it's not going to look good. They're probably going to find a little girl raped and killed. Sick. This is what he says happened. He was changing a tire. 2 men in a truck, or 2 men came up to him, approached him. I don't know if they were in a vehicle, but they came up and approached him. Said to him, he had to add in this detail, which really upset me and my mom, about his little 4-year-old stepdaughter. She looks sweet. They wound up knocking him out, beating the shit out of him. They didn't harm the 2.5-year-old or take the 2.5-year-old. But what he claims happened is he was unconscious, but some of the story has holes in it or something, because wouldn't somebody in 24 hours time have seen him or seen what's going on? That's the part I don't get. But again, I saw it, they give you snippets on the news, the World News Tonight, Inside Edition. They don't give you the full details. You'd have to go online. But the only thing that I don't understand is he said he was knocked unconscious for 24 hours, and all that time his little 2.5-year-old was safe and stayed by his side. And these men took his car or truck, whatever, with his little 4-year-old stepdaughter, who they referred to as sweet. Oh my God. If he's telling the truth, again, the only part I don't understand is how he could be knocked unconscious for 24 hours at the side of the road and nobody knows. Nobody went by in all that time, and how did that little 2.5-year-old know to just stay by daddy, or I don't know, how come he didn't get her? Those are the things I don't understand, but just the whole idea of it, if it's true, you're freaking changing a tire. But I've heard other horror stories where people changing tires and wind up, killed, or whatever. You just can't. The mom was begging for the little girl. The little girl has brain injuries, I guess, and needs constant care. I'm as cynical as they come. I don't foresee this ending well for that little girl. Sad. The other story, 10-year-old girl, adorable little girl. Well, just as an aside, the other one they made sure to say why, who knows, I don't know why they say anything. Remember, everything is alleged, everything, you just never know, because what's really going on, because people go on the TV and appeal for someone to be returned, and then it turns out being a lie, and like, poor little AJ, and his parents were the ones who had killed him. But anyway, if this true, sad. They didn't kill the father or touch the little 2.5-year-old, but they, according to him, he was knocked unconscious, beaten the shit out of him, and out for 24 hours, and they took his little stepdaughter. Intentionally. obviously. Because if they only wanted to carjack, they leave both kids behind. I mean, it's sad. But then the news brings up that they were cleared of all charges, but apparently back when the girl was a lot younger, when she had head injuries, the parents were under suspicion first, and I don't know why they bring that up. Maybe because, like I said, you just never know. I could be all sad about this story and it could turn out to be something else. You just never know. This next one isn't something else. This next one, maybe you guys can help me understand because I don't. I always thought that, because I hear about it, I hear even there could be car accidents and civilians could help. Or I always thought that if someone's life is in danger, anybody's allowed to help because you want to save that person's life, you know. But in this instance, an actual doctor wasn't allowed to try to save a little girl. I mean, sick. I just don't get it. Anyway, 10-year-old little girl was all excited to finally be tall enough to ride this water slide. It's one of those ones that are really, really, like, you go into, it lasts for seconds and it's a huge rush. You start at the top and you just go down a tube real fast while she went down that tube, and 7 seconds later at the bottom, her parents had to see that she was blue and unconscious and whatever, okay? Now, as fate would have it, there was actually a doctor nearby in that park who had a defibrillator, and the park people refused to allow that doctor to go near that little girl. The parents are suing the park. The girl's dead, by the way. And we had to hear her talk and how excited she was to go. They're suing. It doesn't bring back their little girl. Who the fuck do these park people think they are? What if the parents have been doctors or something? Were you going to stop them or family or... I mean, who the fuck do they think they are? They wouldn't let the doctor. And the parents are like, you know, if her heart had been restarted, maybe she would have lived, but whatever. It turned out she had an undiagnosed heart condition. And the ride stopped her heart. She was so excited, and she wound up. The park people refused to let an actual doctor use a defibrillator on her. Refused. I mean, why were they allowed to refuse? They're not, because it's on their property. That's fucked. That is fucked. I hope they have to pay out the yin-yang, but it won't matter because it won't bring back that little girl. She wound up being 9 days on life support, and they died dead from excitement from going down. It stopped her heart. But I mean, I heard another story on Inside Edition where this person was he had a heart attack. He wasn't a professional hockey player. He was doing some team, or you know, one of those older people doing sports for a team or whatever. And it so happened that there was a doctor, and they got to save the guy's life, but the park people don't let this doctor at least try. I mean, that's sick. The doctor tried, and they're like, oh, we have it under control, and they wouldn't. But were they doctors? Yeah, that pisses me off. And now the family is fighting to, going on a mission, you know, to have defibrillators in every park. But the fact is, fate intervened, had a doctor there who had a defibrillator, and the park people wouldn't let the doctor go near that dying little girl. I mean, and I'm left shaking my head. I'm left not understanding. Maybe you can shed light on it, because I don't fucking understand any more than I understand this, and I'm going to dissect this for you, okay? Got teenagers shooting off BB guns in the backyard of an abandoned house, okay? So they're not out in public. They're not like shooting around any other people. I'm sure they're, of course, trespassing. We know that, okay? But still, they're not. It's all closed in. They're not shooting anywhere. That you get it. You get where I'm coming from here. You know where this is going, okay? Now, cops just can't be so trigger happy, even if it's a real gun. You know I can't stand irrationalism, okay? Even if it's a real gun, a cop can't shoot while saying drop your weapon. A person has to have a time to react. And I don't see why any cop gets to keep his job or not be punished. I don't care if the person, you know what I mean? You have to, we're all human. You can't shoot while saying drop your weapon and not even give the person a chance to drop the weapon. Now think about it. First of all, it's a kid. This is a fucking kid shooting off behind wall. A cop comes up, because we have the body camera, okay, and through a hole says, drop your weapon or I'll shoot, okay? But he shoots before even finishing the sentence. David Muir on World News Tonight said they counted it. The kid had a sixth of a second. Now, first of all, you're a kid shooting off BB guns, having fun with your friends, okay? Because they're using an excuse, the cops saying, they're pointing to the fact, well, the prosecutor hasn't charged this cop, and it looked like a real gun. That is not the point. What if it was a real gun? Even if it's a real gun, rational thinking says, any of us, if you tell us to do something, you have to give us a chance to do it before you fucking kill us, okay? I mean, you can't say drop your weapon while you're shooting. I mean, that's a sixth of a second. It's a kid having fun with his friends. Our brains need time to process, which means the kid needed time to even process it's that someone is saying to him, drop your weapon. Because he's startled, and when you're startled, you're busy being startled. You can't think of even obeying a command when you're busy being startled. But the kid wasn't pointing any gun at the cop. You get it? Like, what the fuck? Why is a cop that's not having a gun pointed at him or her be able to say, drop your, even if it's a real gun, it's not being pointed at you. They're BB guns. It doesn't even matter if they look real. It's not being pointed at you. And you're not going to give the kid a chance to drop it before you fucking shoot him twice. This is an instance where I'm 100% on board. The family is saying this is an instance of police misconduct. And the arrogant police chiefs or whatever are like, well, the proof that we're right is nobody's brought any charges, and let's see if they do. I mean, the kid's alive, but he could have been dead. And the fact is, cops can't, a sixth of a second, cops can't say drop your weapon and not give you a chance to drop your weapon before they start shooting. And, you know, he deserves to lose his fucking job. He deserves to be prosecuted. And it was a kid. His parents are like, the gun wasn't even on him. It doesn't even matter to me. It doesn't even matter if he was holding a gun. I'm into common sense and rationalism, okay? We all, no matter what we were ordered to do, we need to have time to process it. This kid, the noise, and they were shooting, and they're kids. They don't know a cop is going to come up slowly and through a hole in a fence, say, you know, drop your weapon, and then shoot you before you have a chance to even respond to the fact that somebody has come up and said anything to you. You know, our bodies have to have a chance to be startled before we can even think of obeying a command. The kid didn't have a chance. How come I've seen other examples where cops will actually give someone who is a threat to them a chance to drop it before they shoot, and this cop, nothing's gonna happen to him? It's a fucking kid who wasn't pointing any gun at you, you motherfucking three-letter word. It begins with P. He wasn't shooting at you. He was shooting off BB guns. So trespassing, but you don't fucking shoot him while you're ordering him to drop his weapon. He doesn't even have a chance. It wasn't pointed at you. It was a freaking BB gun. But even if it was a real gun, I have seen plenty of things where they've done recaps of body camera or whatever. This is a kid who wasn't threatening you. I've seen cops who are being threatened to still give the perpetrator a chance to drop their weapon before open fire, and nothing's gonna happen to this friggin' asshole. Sickening. Again, I don't give a fuck if it was a real gun. It wasn't being pointed at you. It wasn't being pointed at anybody. These are kids who were trespassing, yes, but they weren't. They were BB guns, and even if it was real guns, again, the cops not being threatened. Cops can't go around shooting people without even giving them a chance to respond to the command. David Muir said we counted, it was a sixth of a second before open firing. I mean, on a kid. And the cop's going to say, oh, I thought it was a real gun, but he wasn't pointed at you. I don't care if it was a real gun, it wasn't pointed at you. I've seen plenty of instances where the cop was in actual danger and still gave the perp a chance, okay? Maybe not with a gun, but with a knife or something, but still, that cop, it was being pointed at him. This cop was approaching, and you even hear him saying it sounds like cap guns, BB guns. So he knew, and yet shot the kid anyway. No, that's sick. And if nothing happens to the cop, well, I rest my case. That's just sick. It's sick. That kid could have been dead. Luckily he wasn't, but he could have been. And this is the shit you protest. There are other times they protest, and I'm 100% on the cop side, not this time. That you have to give someone a chance to respond. Their kids shooting up booby guns. They have to respond in their brain. He has to respond in his brain to the fact that you've startled him and said something before you can even drop it, and you're shooting him. I mean,